we're back. We got the 90s all cut out last episode. So what I went ahead and did already is I've drilled one hole through my floor in the truck just so I could get the size of the 90 figured out. Now I've just got to run a notch on the top of this and copy it 3 more times and weld it to the frame and to the subfloor inside, and we're good to go. So here's the hole, goes right up into the cab. You can see the crossover bar for the seat mount. And then we're gonna go right to the frame here. It's gonna look just like this. Once we get a notch in it, it'll go up about another inch on the frame and we'll be good to go. So I got the tubing notcher all set up. Just running 0 degree on this one. And that's just like a little Harbor Freight tubing notcher. It's got all the different degrees on here that you can set it to. So we'll just put the notch on the top of this. There's our first notch, cut nice and clean. Time to check it out. Oh, that's perfect. Just like I said, it's right in the center. Well, pretty close to the center of the frame rail there with that notch in it. Happy with it. So we'll just carbon copy that 3 more times over to the other one, and we're gonna drill some more holes. Set up in a good power stance to get this weld done. We're just gonna tack weld the bottom here and then go up inside, tack weld the inside. Nice and welded, solid to the frame. Now it's time to go inside and weld them solid. So this is what it looks like when you open the door. Those are our 90s that come through the floor here. Nice tight notches on them. Just gonna weld those up real quick. So here they are, fully welded in now. Kind of a pain to get to them, but it's made the cage a lot sturdier on this side. Now we just gotta repeat the steps on the other side. Alright, we've got these 90s down low, all painted up and finished. Moving over to the passenger side, I'm gonna have to take this battery box off that I have and relocate the battery. I needed to do that anyways, that was on the checklist. So I'm thinking I'm gonna mount it right to the firewall and we'll see. Alright, this is where I used to have my battery mounted. Got that out. Cables are just dangling right now. But now it's time to drill the 2 holes through the floor on this side and get this side done up. Just got done cutting the holes through the floor. You can see the roll cage is directly right above both of them. Alright, so we just got 2 more of these 90 pipes. I marked them previous from the other side. This the length that they need to be cut. And then this is the top side where we'll notch it. So I'll actually cut right on this line, and then I'm going to put the tubing notcher on the halfway point of this line, and then that'll get it the same exact height as the other side. Alright, so everything's prepped, frame's ground down, holes are in there. We got our 90s all notched and cut to size, so we're just going to weld these ones in. Luckily everything is welded in, so the frame is now 4-point welded all the way to the frame at last. I used to just have it foot plate welded in all 4 corners, very sketchily. So now we've got it actually welded and it's ready to rock and roll. So the 27th was my birthday, and my parents went ahead and got me some new SFI rated harnesses, so that way we're legal for the drag strip. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in now. Perfect. These harnesses fit just like my old harnesses did. They're just updated. As you can see here, these ones are good till June of 2024. So we got the passenger one in as well, in case I'm able to take someone down the track, and that's it. Got the cage mounted up and the seats and harnesses back in, and we're ready to rock and roll. The last thing I'm going to do on this episode is swap this switch out for this switch. Reason being is this one's a 4-prong for a car with an alternator. I didn't know until I put this one in that's only got 2 prongs that I needed the 4-prong one because I have an alternator. I'll also be moving the battery up to the firewall because it was down on the frame rail like I showed you guys before. So I got a couple different trays here with some mounting brackets. I just had a belt wrapped around it, and tech inspection probably wouldn't have liked that. So we're going to get it off the frame rail because they require it to be inside the frame rail or in a compartment. So I'm just going to put it under the hood up against the firewall above this header. So we'll see if it gets hot. I don't know. These factory fenders have like a threaded hole in them where the factory bolt goes through. So I went ahead and took the bolt, welded a washer on it, pushed it through there, and made it a little wing nut so that I could remove it. I am gonna, in the future, put some hood pens through there and they'll come out the side, which I'm alright with. There's a little bit of rust already there, so no biggie. So I went ahead and just C-clamped this to the firewall to see what I think about it. And not really a fan of how over the header it is, just for heat purposes. Also, normally you want to put the battery in the back of the car for a better weight transfer. So I may be putting this up on the hoist just to look around and see if I can find a better spot for it. After getting the truck back up off the ground, decided I absolutely hated this battery tray up on the firewall. Looks like crap, doesn't like it. So I got just a little bit of wiggle room here because I still have to build a drive shaft loop. That little mark right there that I made with my finger is where the drive shaft loop has to be, 6 inches back from the center of the U-joint. And then this battery tray, I'm going to make some tabs on my frame where I can mount the battery tray up there like that, and it's got just enough room to still fit a drive shaft loop in here. So this is a piece of steel that I found that I'm going to use to make the battery tray brackets on the frame. I believe this is just 1/8 inch steel, so that should be good enough to hold that. I've got my 3 separate tabs laid out here. It's just a little bit tricky because I've got the frame boxed in from where I cut the frame at the firewall. It's boxed in back to the trans cross member, and then I'm going ahead and putting the battery right up against here. So I'm putting a tab down below, and then a tab that hangs down a little bit, and then a full tab between the frame rail here. That way I can still, when I need to remove the trans or trans cross member, I can break these bolts loose and twist it. I got the holes drilled in all the brackets and they're all painted up. It's the only amount of the battery tray you'll see hanging down now. Before it actually hung down quite far. I didn't really like the look of that. So in order to pass tech, it needed to be inside the frame rails, and then I wanted it up a little bit higher to be out of the line of view. I took my ground wire off of the frame from over here, where it used to be. Moved it over to this side, drilled a new hole, wire wheeled the frame down to raw metal. So all you can see is a little bolt head down there for the battery tray. I actually really do like this new setup just through the fact of how low profile the battery is now compared to before. It used to hang down about 6 inches, now it's down about 3. My dad also had a little bit of extra power cable laying around, so we got that ran and routed through the frame. I just got to tie it up so it's not rubbing in any spots. Put a new end on it here, and then take this old switch out. It's a little covered in rubber from doing some burnout. Pretty sweet. And then we'll get the new one in there and then run a new wire up to the alternator. Jordan brought the shop dog Cooper over. Hi, buddy. On this episode, we finished up a lot of stuff. Just 4 things off my to-do list here before July, but they were big things. Safety requirements like attaching the roll cage to the frame, relocating the battery to a safer spot, and actually tying it down instead of having just a leather belt holding it on. I got new SFI certified harnesses mounted up, and then a new battery cutoff switch because I didn't have the one that connected to the alternator. So got a lot of stuff done in this episode, like I said, and we're just going to keep plugging away at this list for the next episodes.